Welcome everybody here once again in another session, and this time we are discussing 2021 Shift 1 English Analysis again. I welcome all of you here watching it live and watching it later. Let's go straight. Let me just reduce the brightness so that it will be clearer to you. Welcome all of you watching from our side at Olive Board. Let's go straight. Welcome Neha. Good afternoon. Sandhya, Nancy, Jay Janendra. Telangana Formation Day today. Great. Thanks for the information and update. Here we go. Match the column. This based gene therapies are already being developed that could, you better know, models take fresh even after them. So that could add to, no, that could delete better, that could recognized impossible. The first possibility is AE altogether. Straight go to the options so that you can eliminate precisely. We had AE that could delete. AE is available in either A or D. You don't have none of these available here. Welcome Prashansa. CD, let's check. C, it seems that technology changes as some of the world's most widely at two main aspects, leadership emergence, other doesn't make sense. What about AE and B, D? And C, F actually, okay. World's most widely recognized, yes, widely recognized makes sense. So that is also possible. That could delete is also possible. What about BF? Because it says all of these. Leadership is a complex topic to tackle in psychology, and researchers typically look at two main aspects. Perfect. So all are supposed to be correct. Objections welcome. Head on. The next one. Trend for textiles in the home is taking things further. Not just this, but that also. AD makes sense. Not just softening a room's harder perimeters, but luxuriously cushioning and paddling walls, floors, and furniture. You're talking about home, textile, some trend, and it makes sense. So not bad. AD. Straight here, AD. Available in, once again, all of these. What about BF? It's rare when a political film can make you want to get up and dance, but that happens again and again in this series. It's rare when a political film can make you want to get up and dance, but it's quite common in this series. Is also fine. C, remove the light, one of the most daring, uncompromising, and innovative paintings to emerge in the past century, and the story of modern art in America with its vigorous search seems all perfect and is correct. Tanu, good afternoon. Hey dear. Next, that was horrible as a message. In May 53, Ronald Madison volunteered for scientific tests conducted by British Armed Forces. He was told that experiments were part of efforts to research the common cold. See, don't feel it pretty much, otherwise it will be difficult to answer the questions, but at least get the tone. But it's quite difficult if you feel it. It's quite not difficult, I should say. It's quite horrible if you feel this. He was told experiments he's going to be a part of are going to research the common cold. He was lied to. Instead, like many others, a leading aircraft man in the Royal Air Force became a Genoa pig, if you know the meaning, of chemical weapons tests. He entered the main chemical warfare lab and received, without his knowledge or informed consent, 200 milligrams of liquid sarin dripped directly onto his sleeve, which seeped through the fabric onto his skin. Ministry of Defense scientists used, now you can see the emphasis, volunteers like him to design protective equipment and improve their own sarin for potential, you can see this is used for a chemical warfare lab. He was lied to. He wasn't getting the research for the common cold. Instead, he was there for the chemical weapons test. And what do you think? The weapons, the chemical weapons, are going to have potential blank space use. Obviously offensive. Humiliation won't be that perfect. Generous, such a positive word. A noise is the SES form of verb, cannot behave as an adjective. We have accompaniment, company, be together, but for chemical war, weapons, in such a lab, accompaniment, a noise, grammatically horrible. General, such a positive word. Out of those, offensive is the most offensive one, which is the most appropriate here. The doses weren't intended to be lethal. Next. The doses weren't intended to be lethal. Everyone already knew it killed quickly. He was given just enough to gather more data into how it worked and how it could be stopped. And so they thought. Within minutes, this routine, see the emphasis, experiment went terribly wrong, I would say. You need an adverb here. It went wrong. Adjective. Adjectives are modified by adverbs in English. Terrible, fine, but I need an adverb here, not adjective. Adverb, adjective, adjective, adjective. So out of context, you can click the only adverb available to you, and that has to be correct. Terrible, fine. Unpleasant, fine. Horrific, fine. Pleasant. The tone is not positive for the whole close test, but yes, horrendously, quite terribly, unpleasantly, and quite the same. The only adverb in the options. Years later, ambulance driver described his trip to the hospital with him. His whole body was suffer, fine, but his whole body was suffer is grammatically horrible again. Be takes an ing form. The body was suffering should have been a possibility. Was convulsing, reacting to all those chemical tests and such is the most appropriate in terms of context also here. Now V1 plus SES, V1 plus SES. No. B doesn't take V1 or SES. Once again, quite easy because of grammar. The whole body was convulsing. Shudder is also somewhat sucked. Jerking is push and pull constantly. Break, fine, everything is so fine. Shivering, actually it is. But B plus ing, the only possibility. I saw his leg rise up from the bed. I saw his skin turning blue. Started from the ankle and start spreading up his leg. He said that the effects seemed to mirror those of an electrocution. He, like the others, was another volunteer around that same time. Later, blank space described, intense described. You can't put an adjective before a verb. It has to be an adverb again. Later, described, intense, cheered, hurries, placid. We can't have V1 or adjectives before a verb. That has to be an adverb, adverb, and adverb. Later, furiously described the lies told to him. Intense adjective, cheer, you better know, is a positive word, out of context also, grammatically wrong also. Hurries, another verb. Placid, cool, calm, content, not at all. Good afternoon, Rohit. Welcome, brother. The only adverb. It was easy because of the options available. It was a Russian roulette. Reading between the lines, they've got away with murder. They managed. Our health was never monitored afterwards and nobody knows how many died. Shows what liars were. Nobody volunteered for these tests. We were sent in like sheep. 45 minutes after being dosed, he died. His death was immediately covered up. Home Secretary requested his blank space remain secret. You need a noun here this time. His blank space. His apostrophe S. India's population. There should be a noun here. It remain secret. Okay. Disagree is a verb. SES. Nope. 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 Examining. Maybe a possibility. Time pass. Nobody's passing time here. That's the noun form past time. Inquest. Search. How he died. What happened to him and such. That quest. Inquest. The most appropriate choice again. And the last but not the least, his inquest remains secret, citing national security. The gas that killed him was manufactured and tested at the Chemical Defence Establishment, which was set along a remote stretch of England's Cornish coasts, an area of blank space. But the next line says, set of small population far away from eyes, you can say, prying eyes, okay. Limitless. If you say a small population shouldn't be in the limitless area. Abundant, that's positive. You need some small or tiny or something such one. Frequently, plentiful, all are positive, 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 positive. You just need a negative one. The sparse or the scarce, little, small, not largely densed area. The only negative option out here. Yes, we can say, Rishabh, welcome, brother. Now I'm not going to Mumbai. Welcome. The first RC we have three in total here. Over the past decade, the rapid advancement of wearable technologies has transformed how CVDs, cardiovascular diseases, are detected, monitored, and managed. Devices like smartwatches, chest straps, skin patches now serve as the portable diagnostic aids, allowing continuous real-time tracking of vital cardiovascular parameters outside traditional clinical environments. Their non-invasive design, user accessibility, and potential for integration with mobile health platforms make them important in the shift from reactive to preventive medicine. Superb line. Reactive, once it happens, we are going to take measures. To preventive, stop it even before happening. A major focus in early research has been on the detection of particular a notable study published in the new year, whatever. The Apple Heart study involved 4 lakh participants and assessed the Apple Watch capability to identify irregular pulse rhythms suggestive of. The study found that among those receiving notifications, 84% showed subsequent monitoring. Though the false positive rate remained a challenge, but the findings confirmed the feasibility of large-scale wearable-based screening for at-risk populations. Beyond this detection, wearables have demonstrated potential in heart rate variability monitoring, blood pressure estimation, ECG signal acquisition. For example, within Withings Move ECG, launched in 19, was the first analog style smartwatch cleared by the marking for medical ECG reading. Similarly, Samsung and Fitbit models begin integrating optical sensors and machine learning algorithms to estimate blood oxygen saturation, SpO2, and stress levels, critical indicators of underlying cardiovascular strain. Furthermore, machine learning has been instrumental in enhancing the diagnostic power of wearable data. A 2020 review in the Journal of American College of Cardiology discussed how AI could analyze patterns in wearable data streams to predict cardiovascular events like myocardial infarctions before clinical symptoms emerge. Although these models were still in the early validation stages, their promise suggested an impending revolution in the personalized risk stratification. Another stratification, I'm sorry. Critical application of wearables lies in post-operative cardiac rehabilitation. Pilot studies had already tested the efficacy of wearable monitors in guiding remote rehabilitation for patients after bypass surgery or stenting. Early results suggested improved adherence to prescribed physical activity regimes and quicker detection of abnormal cardiac rhythms during recovery. While the primary emphasis of wearables remain on cardiovascular health, research began exploring their potential in broader infectious disease contexts too. Notably, studies published in late 20 examined digital biomarkers in sweat, saliva, and respiration to support the early detection of TB, although not fully wearable in form at the point, but the underlying principle of non-invasive continuous monitoring aligned closely with wearable devices capabilities. For example, a proposal by MIT researchers explores the possibility of integrating biosensors into fabric to detect volatile organic compounds associated with active TB, paralleling the sensing strategies used in wearables for cardiac stress. All technical. Welcome, Deb. Hey dear, good afternoon. See, which statement reflects all across the passage's tone? The tone is the same. We can see enhancements in technology in terms of identifying all these diseases through those wearable smartwatches and such. Okay. Wearables now track key cardiovascular parameters like blood pressure, heart rate variability to support personalized care. Can say that. Wearables in post-operative rehabilitation focus only on the basic physical activity, not advanced metrics like ECG. It does. It does ECG, monitoring all these things. So B is not correct. Wearables are of limited value in post-operative care. They are not of limited value. We estimate they can do anything from reactive to proactive. Okay. They mainly promote mental well-being with no emphasis on tracking physical recovery metrics, not at all. And they can replace in-person consultations. Never, ever, ever. That's all fine. They track all the parameters like blood pressure, heart rate to support the personalized care. Absolutely. Which is true based on the details. Apple Heart study concluded that smartwatches could fully replace clinical ECGs. Not at all. They didn't say that they can replace the physical monitoring. They are good because you can't say they can totally replace also by inference. 84% showed correct. There was a false monitoring also. So we can't say they can fully replace. Study confirmed that pulse notifications on smartwatches eliminated the risk of false positive in detecting. I don't think so. This has to be correct because there were false positives also. Can't eliminate. No. Apple Heart study demonstrated that large-scale wearable-based screening can be feasible, though not without accuracy concerns. All in all, this answer lies here. 84% correct, some false positive also. So we can say demonstrated large-scale 84% screening is feasible, although not without accuracy concerns because we have false positives also. Perfect. Absolutely, that plus minus works. Which statement best summarizes the potential of digital biomarkers? It was there at the end, in the end, I think. Digital biomarkers, probably here they were, no problem. We can grab with the tone. Yes, digital biomarkers, 2020 study. Early research suggests digital biomarkers from non-invasive sources like breath, sweat may enable future TB screening via variables. Absolutely yes. Need not check the others. First of all, check this particular one. Notably, studies published in late examined digital biomarkers in sweat, saliva, respiration to support in the early detection of TB, although at that point they are not fully wearable in form, but the underlying principle of non-invasive continuous monitoring aligns closely with the wearable device compatibility. So they are not currently wearable, but they aligns with that. So all in all, early research suggests they are sources like breath, sweat, say respiration enable future because they are not now at this point, but they aligns closely screening via those variables. Absolutely direct, we can say. And last, probably, as per the passage, which statement correctly presents the findings of 2020 journal of this and that? It found wearables mostly used for tracking steps and sleep with limited cardiac. Brother, the passage started with the wearable technologies, how they can detect those CVDs. Not at all. Emphasized how integrated metrics like HRV and this early detection and personalized risk, of course, should be correct. Concluded that SpO2 data lacks clinical utility outside. Nope. Advised against using HRV. Nope. Claims only invasive tools can actually. Not at all. We have a better choice. Good afternoon, Uma. Okay. Objections welcome. One more. Which of the following most accurately captures the concluding idea of the passage regarding integration of wearables into public health systems has already eradicated the need for lab? Need not think about this. Despite the early challenges, wearable devices are now primarily used to detect infectious diseases rather than chronic conditions like cardiovascular. They can also define or check those cardiovascular or detect them. So you can't say that. Wearable technologies are emerging as versatile. They can do anything and they can do anything as per the passage also. Health platforms capable of addressing both cardio and cardio. Both chronic and cardio need not check the others, including TB also. Okay, moving ahead. Next, uh, there is one phrasal verb, Rishabh, that has been used in multiple ways, I should say. Pick the one which uses that incorrectly. Remember, if you don't go through the question, although we are correct, we are wrong. Okay, this is turnout. I think you remember this. He was quite unknown to me at first, but then he turned out to be one of my relatives. Turn out to be the case, to happen to be, and such. Okay, when he organized his first exhibition, he wasn't sure how it turned out, how it would turn out, how it will become. Correct. But we are asked the incorrect one. To his surprise, a large crowd did turn out. They appeared, sure, for the opening night, including some renowned critics. The venue's technical team worked tirelessly to turn out the perfect lightning ambience. No, no, no. Team is trying to blank space something else to have this perfect lightning and ambience. Third one is incorrect. So our answer is going to be third one first, along with the other options. Although initially nervous, his confidence grew as everything seemed to turn out better. Everything seemed or appeared to be better. This is correct than he had imagined. By the night, his harshest mentors admitted that his work had turned out exceptional. His work was exceptional. Perfect. I think only third one has the horrible one, and the rest of those are correct. Pick the incorrect one. Only third, Rishabh. Second is correct. Team, not this particular one. The crowd appeared there. The crowd turned out there. They were there. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Next, do the same for carry on. Come on, carry on the good work. Whatever you are doing, you must do on that. Keep on doing that. When her mentor retired, she promised to carry on his legacy, or he, Priya, okay, her mentor, she will carry on his legacy. No problem. Carry on is to continue in simple words, if I say. So she promised to carry on his legacy. Yep, she can continue his legacy by maintaining high standards in research. The first one is correct. Even during toughest phases of her career, she found strength to carry on. She found strength to go on, keep on through sheer determination. Perfect. After moving to a new lab, she had to carry on with those unfamiliar protocols. Yep, she had to go on, keep on, carry on with those protocols and new team dynamics. However, it was difficult to carry on the old equipment. No, run, operate, anything such. You can't carry on the equipment. Carry on is generally used for the abstract senses, not for the physical devices and operating them. She promised to carry on the legacy, fine. Carry on, she had strength to go on, to carry on, fine. Now her ability to adapt and carry on under pressure is also correct. So just the fourth one, and which is the precise option available. Next. When she launched her startup, no one expected it to take off. Take off is to, you better know, for a plane also, is to be successful also. So that is fine. When she started her startup, no one expected it to be successful so quickly. Within 6 months, sales began to take off. Once again, you can say rise, increase, succeed, always it is possible. Attracting the attention of major investors. As demand grew, she had to take off several new projects. She had to take off projects? No, she had to undertake, I think, several new projects. I would say the third one is not precise. To expand her product line, despite the stress, she rarely took time to take off and unwind. This is actually, she had to take time off. You have to take your time off. That means you should have some time to unwind, to relax, to think about the innovative ideas and such. So the fourth one is also correct. And unwind, staying focused on her vision. Yes, in order to stay focused on your vision, you need to take some time off. I repeat, this is here. Took time to take off, or take some time off to stay focused on your vision. Now her business has truly taken off in the first one, becoming one of the most talked about. Fine. Rest all fine. The third one should be, and it is available again. Yes, Vaibhav, that could have been a possibility. It was difficult to go on with the old equipments. Perfect, brother. Perfect, brother. With could have been a possibility here, but that is obviously wrong. With could have been a possibility. Yep. Another RC. In 2020 summer, as the pandemic reshaped urban life, cities worldwide saw a surge in cycling as people sought alternatives to public transport. Architecture firm SOM proposed extending this momentum by reshaping city streets into bicycle superhighways. Just a sec. Need to concentrate also. In the summer, the pandemic reshaped urban life. Cities worldwide saw a surge in cycling as people sought alternatives. Architecture firm proposed extending this momentum by reshaping city streets into bicycle superhighways, promoting a sidewalk economy. This vision included flexible indoor-outdoor retail pavilions, socially distanced, al fresco dining, and technology to help riders find the quickest, least busy cycle routes, resting areas with foliage, and socially distanced outdoor meeting spaces near buildings were also part of the plan. Someone, a design partner at, emphasized that the bicycle commuting, if effectively integrated during the pandemic, could become a lasting urban feature. Some partners highlighted the overlooked potential of local neighborhoods during the pandemic, proposing the transformation of streets into green, leafy, park like spaces. They suggested shared spaces for pedestrians, cyclists, centralizing waste disposal, restricting through traffic, reducing on street parking, and planting trees for shade, and adding new street furniture. By freeing up front gardens for vegetation and creating communal areas, the aim was to improve health and reduce strain on hospital services. Bruno Mars, an urban designer, noted that controlling traffic and freeing space could create decent public grounds, especially for those without private gardens. We made that okay, no, that's the name of the company, I think, all capitalized. They envisioned a digitally enabled high street in a post-COVID world. They proposed using digital technology to monitor traffic and football, helping people avoid busy times and aiding those with the vulnerable immune systems. Enhancing Wi-Fi could support remote workers, while better managed transport informed by data could facilitate social distancing. Additional ideas include supporting a circular town center economy, implementing food sharing and waste reduction schemes, locating sites to test temporary intervention, offering deals to encourage local purchases, coordinating, stock and delivery logistics, so much data, providing high-speed internet for business and visitors, and improving public transport connections through data analysis. Someone, co-director, emphasized the importance of supporting micro businesses by improving access to digital services and skills, suggesting services like digital lunch orders and coordinated market shopping collections. Architecture firm DRMM proposed the concept of multi-purpose neighborhoods, aligning with the idea of 15-minute city where everything needed is within a short walk or cycle ride. They suggested stacking industrial units such as technology startups, urban farms, breweries, bakeries to free up free free space for parks and recreational facilities. This approach would not only provide jobs but also enhance residential developments by integrating cool modern industrial units. Will Howard noted that such integration could be a distinguishing factor for residential projects. The proposal included industrial buildings with climbing walls, tennis courts, converted industrial spaces offering internal sport halls, community facilities, and combining residential and industrial spaces within the same building by creating more free space for recreational facilities. The aim was to foster vibrant, mixed use neighborhoods. These visionary ideas collectively aim to reimagine the urban spaces in response to the challenges posed by the pandemic, emphasizing health, community, and sustainability. Would love to say again that the overall tone of the passage is quite the same, not changing in between. Just a sec. Okay, Which of the following best captures the overarching implication of the passage's discussion on multipurpose neighborhoods as proposed by DRRM? 15-minute city model depends primarily on replacing industrial infra. It didn't replace anything. That was just in addition to that. It didn't replace anything. Stacking all of them, not replacing them. The vision emphasizes spatial compartmentalization to prevent the blurring of industrial, residential, and recreational zones. I don't think so. It was compartmentalization. We'll check. Spatial and that too. The proposal reflects a paradigm shift in urban planning that reimagines zoning flexibility essential for integrated, resilient communities. I think that should be better, although not directly stated. Aligning stacking industrial units like technology startups, urban breweries to free space for parks and recreational facilities. The plan's feasibility is contingent on the strict separation. No, it's not going to separate, drop it. Aims to reinstate pre-industrial patterns of decentralized village life free of modern, come on, either B or C. The vision emphasizes spatial compartmentalization to prevent the blurring of industrial. I don't think so. The proposal reflects a paradigm shift. I suggest this paradigm shift should be a better choice, and it is. Thank you. Yes, it is. That reimagines, that means you are just making changes out there, not dropping, eliminating, say, decentralizing that and free of economic structures, modern economic. That's all modern. We are not free of modern, not willing to do that. No. Yep. Which of the following reflects the underlying urban philosophy behind vision for superhighways and sidewalk? Approach reimagines streets as dynamic, layered ecosystems that support both high-speed commuting and localized human-scale commerce. Better. The proposal centers on digitizing existing transport networks to reduce public dependence on physical infrastructure. Honestly, you can reduce public dependence on physical infra. They won't be flying cycles in the air then. The design strategy favors large-scale vehicular infra over cycling. No. They preferred cycles. Yep, you can't say preferring this over that. The sidewalk economy concept is largely symbolic, aimed at evoking pre-industrial street life. Not at all. It proposes limiting urban. No, must be the best choice, and it is. Which of the following best represents the core principle behind? It's easy for a passage which is going on the same flow to get the theme first. Then you can answer accordingly by elimination, as we are doing live here. It's so difficult for RCs with changing patterns in between. This paragraph saying something else, that paragraph saying something else, and now changing in between. And then we have to check which data was where. Was that positive there? Was that positive here? For the straight ones, it's so easy, honestly, most of the times. Which of the following best represents the core principle behind the partner's vision for green, leafy, shared local streets? A focus on removing all vehicular traffic, okay, to create pedestrian only zones. You will cycle there. Now, integration of nature with urban infra, prioritizing sustainability and social interaction in communal spaces must be the bestest choice, because yes, because it integrated everything out there. Wi-Fi accessibility, food and this and football, everything such. So nothing can be better than this. Integration of nature with urban infra, prioritizing sustainability, social interaction in those communal spaces. What can be better than that? Just the title of the passage in just one line. Which of the following describes the central objective behind the proposal for digitally enabled high streets by focusing on traditional high street designs while avoiding the integration of digital tools? Wi-Fi will be a digital tool. You can't say avoiding the integration of, drop it. Re-envisioning high streets as data-driven spaces that enhance both retail performance and community engagement through digital infra should be a better choice, not bad. Advocating for a complete shift to e-commerce, making physical high streets obsolete. You can't. proposing the creation of high streets that only function as spaces for physical retail with no consideration for virtual or digital, drop it, Wi-Fi. Prioritizing large-scale commercial developments over small, no priority of large-scale over small, the most appropriate. Green, absolutely. Which of the following aligns with the nuanced perspective offered in the passage regarding the urban vision of multi-purpose neighborhoods and the 15-minute city? The model envisions a compact urban structure where residential, industrial, recreational functions, yep, football grounds and such, are deliberately co-located to maximize space and community. First is all correct. The proposal views industrial zones as outdated relics, incompatible with the modern mixed use planning. They are mixing those industrial ones. You can't say they are outdated. Drop the second one. Design approach aims to integrate light industry into the residential landscapes, challenging conventional zoning to support economic and social vibrancy at a hyper local scale. Yup. The design approach aims to integrate the light industry into the residential one to support economic and social vibrancy. I would say economic in terms of economy and social in terms of all these parking and yes, planting for shade and new street furniture for all these. Yes, integration was there. First and third. First and third is correct. The second one, no, they are not outdated. What is the most reasonable inference from the author's inclusion of sidewalk economy within the vision? Sidewalk commerce will likely replace centralized economic hubs as it can't replace. They are integrating, enhancing, not replacing. Author views informal street vending as a nostalgic but impractical. Don't use negative words in between. Expanding economic activity to sidewalks. Yep. Sidewalk economy, he has said over here. Expanding economic activity to the sidewalks reflects an attempt to decentralize the urban interaction and adapt public space for the commercial. Decentralize not to remove but to separate into parts and adapt for commercial resilience, not bad. Resilience, I'm sorry. Sidewalk economy primarily benefits large scale chains with the resources to adapt to open air commerce. No. No. Promoting sidewalk is presented as a temporary. No. Now word swap. The scientist's new athlete. Horrible. Need to change A. Received praise for the innovative research and potential impact on device. A needs to be changed. Options please. AEAD. His new experiment, not bad. AD. His new trained impossible. Answer should be AE. We can go ahead. Let me check CG also because I'm there in the examination. For example, live. CG. The wearable device, better. And potential impact on medicine, absolutely. All correct. All correct. No. BH. No. Innovative. That's all fine. Innovative research. Innovative research. Objections welcome. Rishabh, if any. The theory was met with widespread storm. Theory was met with widespread storm. Due to the controversial assumptions, no. A needs to be changed again. Options please. AEAF. AEAF and AH also. AE first of all. E. The theory was met with widespread rejection due to the controversial. Yep, A is fine. DH now. Despite the meticulous severity of the rejection, horrible. First of all, rejection also needs to be swapped if that is correct. So storm will be here. Despite the meticulous severity of the storm, the rescue team managed to reach the hikers just in time. That's all fine, but meticulous severity doesn't make sense. Meticulous is to be precise, covering every single detail. Severity for storm, no. D needs to be changed, must be correct, and it's. Now let's check. Intense severity of the storm. Obviously, storms are severe, they are intense, both make sense. The project was stopped after considerable thorough. B needs to be changed because you need a noun here, not thorough. Both are adjectives. B in two options, BF or BG. Check one. BF. Considerable consideration, I don't think so it's that appropriate. CDI. D, despite the team's best deadlines. No. I, despite the team's best efforts under strict guidelines, deadlines must be correct. Considerable consideration, and yes, of course, thorough makes sense over there for review. Thorough review, the careful investigation of anything, and that's what the word is. Another RC. For a year of dubious superlatives, 2020 has left the planet one last parting gift. On 8th of Jan, the C3S, which tracks global climate trends, announced that not only had 2020 tied with 2016 for the hottest year on record, but it also capped the warmest decade on record. Just a sec. Not just the hottest year, but also the warmest decade. Okay. There was an extra bonus. The region has just had its hottest year ever. If there was ever any doubt that the world is heating up due to the increased fossil fuel emissions, they have been effectively quashed. In a year already defined by the record melting of Greenland's glaciers, near record levels of shrinking Arctic sea ice, wildfires blazing across, and the hottest temperature ever recorded in Antarctica, the latest findings should be surprising, says inevitably, if you have an upward trend, which we've been seeing for some time now, well, at some point you are going to bypass the annual records and eventually decadal ones as well. As long as we don't reduce the greenhouse gas emissions that are the main driver behind that increase, then we will continue breaking these records, nor should anyone be letting out a sigh of relief for the fact that we only tied 2016 for the hottest year. The 16 was marked by a particularly strong El Nino event, a weather pattern that generally contributes to warmer temperatures. 2020, by contrast, was dominated by a La Nina weather cycle, which actually lowered temperatures in the Pacific. El Nino, I think you know from GS, a weather pattern that generally contributes to warmer temperatures, because of which we see, if I'm not wrong, some rain at the unexpected time, if I'm not wrong. However, this La Nina, which lowers temperatures in the Pacific. In general, the expectation is that if you have El Nino, warmer, you get a warming like in 16, and with La Nina, cooling, you tend to have a cooling effect over a large portion of the globe, says. In this case, the cooler Pacific temperatures were countered by unusual spikes further north. The biggest leaps in temperature deviation from 81 to 2010 average were in the Arctic, where temperatures surpassed 6 degrees for the year as a whole and more than 8 degrees in some regions in some months. Horrible. 1981 to 2010, 6 degree, 8 degree in some regions, in some months. Western Siberia experienced an exceptionally warm winter and spring, conditions that precipitated the summer's unprecedented wildfires. Syria, unexpected conditions that precipitated the summer's unprecedented wildfires. Okay, Europe's record-breaking year started out with an unusually warm winter, 19 to Feb 20, that it exceeded the previous 16 extreme by almost 1.4. That's dangerously close to the 1.5 degree warming goal set by the Paris Climate Accords. Is the maximum amount of warming the world should experience. Of course, the Paris figure is meant to be an average over time, not a one-off. Still, record-breaking months, years, and decades bring us even closer. As the rising temperature trend continues, we will at some point have years that hit 1.5, then 1.6. Eventually, their target will be reached. And the only way to stop that is to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and quickly, because indeed we are marching in that direction. Once again, since we have 3 RCs in the same test, which we have to finish in 25 minutes along with the other questions, all are easy because all have the same flow, same theme, same tone, going forward, marching in the same direction. Had they been the jumbled one, things would have been difficult. Which of the following aligns with the passage's emphasis on the urgency for action regarding greenhouse gas emissions? The passage suggests that natural cycles will eventually reverse. It doesn't suggest so. Passage states that 2020's record temperatures mark the peak of global warming. No further concern. Show them 1.56 and then no. Passage warns that continued emissions will push temperatures beyond the critical thresholds, worsening the climate crisis. Yup, need not check the others. 1.5, then 1.6, and then going ahead. It's not a one-time one, it's not one-off. It is meant to be over time. What is the significance of the 1.5 degree warming target set by the Paris Climate Accords in light of recent temperature trends? This target has already been exceeded. No, not yet. We are close to that, bringing even closer. 1.4, this is close to 1.5. We haven't exceeded that yet in 2020. This unusually warm winter in Europe was a one-off event and there is no risk of reaching even closer. Despite the warm winter, the passage emphasizes that the 1.5 remains achievable with a drastic reduction in emissions. I don't see any reduction in emissions. Remains achievable. No. Explains that is a critical threshold and winter highlighted the urgent need of action to prevent surpassing it. No, Rishabh. B says this unusually warm winter was a one-off event. Okay, and there is no risk of reaching 1.5. It says we are so close to that. We are dangerously close to that. Perilously, they have said. That's perilously close to the 1.5. So we can't say we are not close to that. Rishabh. Aditya, absolutely. How does the passage illustrate the resilience of global warming trends despite cooling climate cycles? How does it mention the resilience of global warming trends despite the cooling climate cycles? It shows there's Arctic anomalies and Siberian wildfires were here somewhere. El Nino and La Nina were described here. Yep. Offset the cooling effect. La Nina lowers temperatures, but Arctic anomalies and Siberian wildfires offset this. Of course, we have warming 1.4, increasing temperatures. Although this La Nina is supposed to have some cooling effect, yes, straight marked. Thank God. Hallelujah. Weber. In this case, the cooler Pacific temperature because of this La Nina were countered by, and that's the meaning of the word offset, by the unusual spikes further north. What? The biggest leaps in the temperature from this and that were in the Arctic. Straight answer, I can click this now. Where temperatures this and that, and western Siberia, warm winter, spring wildfires. Absolutely. The first one, need not check the others. Rishabh, A, were countered by La Nina, cools, whereas this temperature rise in the Arctic and this wildfire, unprecedented, probably countered that cooling effect of the Pacific by La Nina. Rishabh, okay? So the first one is all correct. Need not check the others. Straight. No, it didn't lead to, yep, stable temperatures. Rishabh, okay? Mark your words, please. According to the passage, which of the following reflects the passage's emphasis on regional climate extremes in 2020? Arctic warming remained moderate. No. Staying below? Not at all. The previous question had the answer. Going beyond. Europe's record-breaking warmth in 2020 was driven by an unusually warm winter. Warmth in 20 was driven by the unusually warm winter. Seems good to me. The Arctic experienced minimal change. No, it didn't. Avoided the warming. They had unprecedented wildfires. Monthly temperatures in 2020 rarely exceeded the deviations of 5, 6, and 8. It was. Absolutely. They had that warm winter. They had that warm winter, Europe. It was there. No problem. There is the data for Europeans. There was an extra bonus in the negative tone. The region just had the hottest year ever. There was the winter data also from. Yes, I was looking for this. Europe's record-breaking year started out with an unusually warm winter from December 19 to Feb 2020 that exceeded the previous 16 extreme by almost 1.4 degree centigrade, and that's close to that. Last but not the least, which of the following statements summarizes the passage's key point about the global climate situation in 2020? Despite La Nina, 20's temperatures rose, showing the persistent impact of fossil fuel emissions and the need for emission reductions. Do I need to check the others? No. Despite La Nina, which cools the Pacific, yes, despite that, temperatures rose, showing the persistent impact of fossil fuel emissions and the need for reductions. The last line says need for reductions. Done. That's all I had in this, and that was a very good test. A typical RBI grade B, having 3 RCs, but they were easy. Although we need to finish all these things in 25 minutes, but they were not that difficult, I would say. Usually we have difficult RCs if we have just one or two in general. No parasamples, making it quite easy for many of us here. Okay, so finishing things now. Before I finish, let me just show you. It says SSC. Don't worry about that. This is because of the website which shows SSC. We have an offer. I can show you for RBI Grade B also. Can use the code June. If you're willing to join us, all welcome. The offer ends 4th of June. Can get flat 51% off for any subscription in this category. Yes, it does. 51% off on all NABARD Grade A plans with one-on-one mentorship, live classes, detailed notes for ESI, ARD, CA, complete test series. One can use the code June and can enroll at flat 51% off. Check before you join. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye. Take care. See you tomorrow at the same time here for the next shift, next set. Any objection, query, question from your side is all welcome. Thank you so much, everybody watching it live. Thanks a lot, honestly. Thank you, Vaibhav, Nancy, Neha, Rishabh, Tanu. Neha, it was difficult as per the norms, but comparatively, it was easy in my opinion. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Look up to you. Oh, thank you, Nancy. You too, beta. Have a great day ahead. Perspicacious. Thank you so much for being perspicuous. Thanks a lotto, Rishabh. Thank you. See you. Take care. Be safe. Thank you.